During this video, we'll be discussing documentation. Documentation is a critical part of your job when working in the facility. Documentation serves several very important functions. First, documentation provides a legal record of the care provided to your client. Should there ever be a challenge as to whether or not care was appropriately provided, without accurate written documentation, it is difficult, if not impossible, to prove the care you provided to your clients. A general rule of thumb when working in the facility is if it wasn't documented, it wasn't done. Documentation also helps to ensure continuity of care. For example, a written service plan helps to ensure that all care providers understand the needs and services of the individual client. It helps to ensure that we all provide for those basic needs during each shift worked. Documentation is also a communication tool. It helps us to communicate with the physician, with hospice and home health, with other caregivers, and also can help us to communicate with the client's family.
You know, it is really great, though, that they do the documentation, because sometimes I can't get off work on time to go and see her, and I don't know how her day has been. So they're very helpful. Whenever I can just call them up and ask them, did anything unusual happen with my mom today? Hi.
Hi.
I have a question. I visited
Sure.
my mom today. She's been complaining to me about constipation, and I wondered when was her last bowel movement.
Oh, I see.
Finally, documentation is often required by regulatory or other agencies. Regulations in your state may stipulate the type and frequency of documentation required. While documentation can sometimes seem tedious and time-consuming, it's important to understand that by completing thorough and accurate documentation, you help to ensure that all of these critical needs are met. While the exact methods used may vary from one facility to another, there are some basics to consider in terms of where and how to store your client's records or your documentation. First and foremost, client records should be stored in a central and secure area that is accessible to appropriate staff, but at the same time is inaccessible to unauthorized persons, such as visitors and possibly families. We also want to ensure that the area where records are stored is secure from fire and water damage. For example, if your community has